From the banner of Stockton, I bring you word from the battlefield. Providing you with weekly game previews, game recaps, and even interviews with your favorite players and coaches, this is the Crusaders Dispatch Podcast. As always, I am your faithful messenger, Rod Villagomez. Welcome to another episode of the Crusaders Dispatch Podcast. I am your humble dispatch, Rod Villagomez, and today I'm being joined by one of my good friends, and we've talked football for years, this man, and he got involved in the Arena Football 1 game a couple of years ago, and now we are just diehard AF1 fans, and who better to talk through AF1 and what everybody's getting into Stockton, and really, again, this episode is just to introduce you pretty much to the league, because a lot of people don't know about the Arena Football 1. They don't know what we're getting into. They don't know the teams are going to be taking on and all that other good stuff. So we're just going to introduce you to them this episode. And my good friend, Justin Mark, from the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, him and his wife, Miranda, do a fantastic job each and every week talking football, talking bets, talking fantasy, talking whatever. And more importantly, Justin, talking whiskey, my friend. That is the important part of the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk a little arena ball. Yeah, like you said, got involved a couple years ago, and I have been hooked. The fast pace, the shorter fields. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into that, but yeah, I've definitely been hooked. It's a great game to watch.
Hard not to get hooked, though, by the way. I mean, this is one of those things where you can watch a lot of outdoor football, and God knows you and I both have, both live and on television. And, you know, the game flows a certain way. You come to expect certain things happening during the course of the game. And as a fan, you know what to watch for and everything like that. But when you get into arena, the whole world changes. It's so much faster. It's so much more intimate. There's so much more going on, and you feel like you can't really get up and get anything to drink or to eat, or you don't want to miss a second of action on the field, because first and foremost, points fly fast, as does just the action on the field. So I know you actually got to witness your first AF1 game a couple of days ago. I got pictures and a lot of great reports from you. So, I mean, listen, a lot of folks in Stockton are going to have that experience. Justin, what was that like for you?
Oh, it was awesome. Again, you know, you go to any type of outdoor football game and it can be slow. You know, there are games that can be slow, and I love a good defensive battle. Don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get that with arena ball. It is nonstop action. There's no just wasting the clock, nothing like that. Every snap counts. No lead is safe. So, I mean, you might go to a game and your team's losing. It doesn't matter. Going into fourth quarter, they could rattle off 28 points, you know, and come back. And just some of the cool rules with the bouncing off the nets, or even when I mean, the arenas are smaller, right? This isn't a giant stadium. You get down close there. We were just in the ninth row. When you hear those guys pop against the wall, whew, that gets you excited. If you're a football fan, you're like, okay, that was a football hit. I know a lot of people, they kind of downplay, well, it's the arena ball, not these are real athletes, and they are taking shots. I actually ran into the quarterback the next day, and he told me how he was feeling the bumps and bruises from the night before.
I'm telling you, and they tell you the wall is undefeated, and it at 1,000% is, because
Yeah.
that is a sound that you don't get in outdoor football, is those guys just slamming against the wall. Because I mean, think about it this way too. I mean, a lot of us from Stockton, we've watched hockey and we've watched various hockey teams come through the city, and yeah, when they hit those walls, I mean, there's only just a thin padding against that wall,
Yeah.
and that's the wall they hit. So it's definitely intense.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing, one of my favorite plays in arena ball is you can catch the ball over the wall, right? So this is, I would say it's kind of equivalent to like a toe tap catch. You know, we all get excited when we see a toe tap catch. In arena ball, you're going to see a guy go up and over that wall and catch it, and it's counts. It's not out of bounds because you caught it. So that's always exciting to see too.
Yeah, so much more live ball play in arena football than there is in the outdoor game. And like you said, I mean, it's faster paced, obviously, and there's just so much action going on. There's fewer players on the field, and you would think that
Yeah.
that means for less action, but no, it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Stockton fans, if they are not familiar with arena ball, I got to tell you, you're going to love it, especially because these leagues, they're so accessible, right? After the game, these players are going to be there to say hi to you. They'll give you the high fives. If you're right down there, you stick your hand out, they're doing a high five off the field. I mean, you're going to get to see these players, you're going to get to know these players, and that just makes it even more enjoyable. It's hard not to root for a guy that you've actually shook his hand and said had a conversation with, right?
Yeah, again, and that's the thing where when you're meeting these guys and it makes it so much more fun to root for them because you've met them, you've talked to them, you've had a conversation with them, you've shook their hands, and at some point through the course of the season, you get to know each other and you remember each other and next thing you know, you got a friend on the field. And so that makes it even more personal. Tell me how many NFL games you can go to, make a friend on the field after the game and be able to exactly 1,000% none. So that is yet another reason, yes, to love Arena Football One. But your love for football, Justin, has gone way back. You, of course, like I said, are the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, of which I am also a member. But on the NASCAR side of this, we have done many a show together talking football. And you, my friend, have a very long history of loving football and liking football. So where did that love for you get started?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think a lot of little kids, especially boys, they want to be like their dads. And my dad watched football, and so I would watch it with him. He was a Chicago Bears fan, which unfortunately led to a lot of disappointing years, a lot of 3-13, 4-12 seasons. But I stuck through it. I never left them. Still haven't. And it's finally paying off a little bit. Everybody says, "Have they won a Super Bowl in your lifetime?" I was like, I was -1 years old when they won that. So no, but maybe our time is coming. But yeah, I love the game. It went from that to also watching college ball to then the spring leagues. I really got into those and just everything football. I just love everything about the game. And again, I know some people they don't think arena football is the same as regular football. And no, it does have its differences. It's a lot different, but these are still football players. These are still athletes. And the coolest thing is these guys are getting to try to get one step closer to their dream, right? That's one of the things that I feel like specifically this year, a little bit last year, is the leagues are putting more of focus on developing them if they do get a shot to move on and saying, yeah, go ahead and do that. We got a spot for you if it doesn't work out, but go do that. And so yeah, I just these are athletes that you might see them someday playing in the CFL or the NFL or the UFL, any of those. And that just to me that makes it even more exciting.
And again, what I love the most too is that since we've been a big spring league, I mean, obviously you and I both we met through AAF, through XFL, through UFL, through whatever like the spring league. There's just been so many routes that we've taken together, but a lot of these names continue to pop up over and over again, and we see these
Yeah.
games cycle through all of these difference, and now we're seeing these cycle through the Arena Football One. And so you get to know not only them on the field, but you just get to know them and watch them through the course of their career. And some of them make it, like you said, to the CFL, to the UFL, to the NFL. And that's fun because you know that you had a conversation with that gentleman or that player. And now you're watching them on your TVs on Sundays or Saturdays or Thursdays or Fridays, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to be said about enjoying football. And you and I, just to give the credentials for you, have watched and covered a lot of football over the course of our few years here.
Absolutely. There's never enough football. And I got to give you credit. I mean, you said that we've done a lot of podcasting or talking football together. I mean, you're the one that got me into podcasting. You reached out, asked if I wanted to hop on the show. I was so nervous, but obviously, I'm sure if people are listening, they know you're an incredible host. Made me feel comfortable right away, and I've learned a lot from this guy. So everybody tuning in, pay attention because he's one of the best in the business.
All right, and your Venmo is that was awesome. Thank you very much for that plug. You'll expect the money here in just a little bit. No, honestly, no, it was fun because I did introduce Justin to the world of podcasting. He was very reluctant, which is I think the way everybody is when I first ask them, hey, you want to be a podcaster? And they're like, I've never done this before. I'm like, whatever. Just get on and talk. We'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, you're a natural. Obviously, you and your wife. Like I said, please go check out Old Fashioned Football. This show, incredible. The chemistry. Obviously, they're married, so they've got to have some. But the on screen chemistry just carries you through. And if you like football talk, they've got it for you. So, all right, enough about us, Justin. Let's talk about the Arena Football One and how it all got started and how everything began in that world. Because again, a lot of folks that are now being introduced to arena football in Stockton have never seen. They didn't see the Lightning play unfortunately, which was a few years ago. Weren't really around when the SaberCats were doing their thing in San Jose, winning championships in our own backyard. But they do know that there is a team coming. So Arena Football 1 began a long time ago. And really, it started as an offshoot of the Arena Football League. And Justin, I know you weren't old enough to remember the Arena Football League when it became an actual thing. But look, Arena Football started way back in the day. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was a brand new concept. ESPN was covering it. And I mean, I know you've watched some of the old games. So what were your takeaways from some of those old AFL games?
I mean, yeah, it's same thing that I see today. It's like these are athletes, right, that are out there just trying to find their way to the next level. And I think when you're at the AFL level, it's even more fun because they're having more fun with it. They know that everything is riding on this game, and they may get noticed by a big shot, and so they're having fun and they're putting everything into it. You don't see anybody kind of dragging their feet. I'm located in Iowa. We've had the Iowa Barnstormers for years, which has been an indoor football team. And they have a rich history. Now they're not doing so great in the IFL now, but they do have a rich history. And yeah, you think about, Kurt Warner, arena ball. There are big names that can come from the arena leagues, and so yeah, watching those old games it's always fun to throw those on every now and then. You can still find them, YouTube and stuff. Find those old games if you have nothing else to do. Um, I highly recommend throwing an old one on and just watching because it's always fun. It's fun times.
And it really is too. And again, like you said, with Iowa being in the IFL, don't get that confused, guys. I know that there's, like Justin had said earlier, there's a ton. There's the IFL, there's the NIAL, there's the like Arena Football Continental. There's a lot of them out there. So
There's
don't
a
get
lot.
confused. Yeah, we are part of the Arena Football One. That is the league that
Yep.
we're in. So just keep that in mind. And in 1987, Arena Football League played their first game. They had the Pittsburgh Gladiators, the Denver Dynamite, the Washington Commandos, and the Chicago Bruisers in that first season. So obviously it went on to evolve and go through a different changes and everything like that. It went away for a little bit. They branched out for a little bit and brought Arena Football 2 into the mix, which is how Stockton ended up getting their team before that league folded. Then they came back again and ran up until about, I don't know, 2019, somewhere in that vicinity, before they had to fold again, which sucked. Really, I was honestly,
Yeah.
I was just getting into that. In fact, that was a lot of fun in 2019 when I was doing the DraftKings, the daily fantasy show for that. But that was a fun season to watch, and I know that it was sucked that it went away. But yeah, I mean, how much of that did you follow through the beginning of it?
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, it started. You said 1987, year I was born. So I wasn't following it quite then, but especially towards the end there when it did unfortunately go bankrupt. That's always been a thing with arena football is can they get enough support? Can they get enough sponsors? I feel like the AF1 is on a great track right now. Of course, they have some great people leading the league with Jerry Kurz, who he's been in the AFL forever, right? He was an executive for a long time. Now he's the CEO. They have Jeff Fisher. Anybody that's an NFL fan knows who Jeff Fisher is. I also wanted to point out, I was just doing a little background on the history because I knew arena ball started a long time ago, but I wasn't exactly sure how. It was actually Jim Foster, who was a former NFL and USFL executive, was watching an indoor soccer game and just thought he had like an envelope with him, and he's like, I bet we could do this with football. And he just started sketching out the idea. And that's kind of how that whole thing blossomed. And I just think that's awesome. I mean, just the history of knowing, well, somebody's at a soccer game thinking, hey, we can do this with football. We can play football indoors and creating all that. And look how, I mean, that was 1981. Obviously, still leagues now. So his idea was great, obviously, because, yeah, there's been ups and downs, but it's still here. It's still here.
How many times have you been sitting at a bar, grabbed a napkin, and said, listen, this is my famous idea, and you start writing it down? But how many of those actually come to fruition? I'm thinking
Yeah.
not many.
Yeah, I was gonna say, none of them have worked out for me. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got a lot of napkins sitting there just waiting to actually be good. No, but yeah, Foster, his idea came to fruition. You talked about Jerry Kurz. He was one of the guys that basically helped bring that to light as well. So it's good to have him actually part of this iteration of it because he saw it from the fledgling, the start, and I I was lucky enough to be able to talk to Jerry a few seasons back, and I had an interview with him, and we talked through a lot of the fine points of arena football and how it all came to be, and really what separates it from, and honestly, like I said, there's so many leagues, but what separates the arena football aspect of it are just a few important yet minute things, a lot of which are the backdrop nets, right? The
Yeah.
rebound nets. That's one of the biggest things that separates just indoor football from arena football. That rebound net that is live in play. A lot of leagues don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the shout out to the kick returners, because to turn your back on the guys running at you to try to locate that ball off of the rebound net, to catch it, to turn around and try to get out of the end zone is extremely impressive. And I think it's something that gets unsung a lot of times. Like, they don't get enough credit for that, because once you go to a game, you're going to see exactly how fast they have to be to process everything, because you turn around and there's guys right in your grill right away. So yeah, that's the nets are awesome. The nets are awesome. And then if you have not watched a game, there's smaller goalposts than you would expect for a football field. If kickoff goes through that, you get 2 points. It's called the deuce. That's always fun. There's a lot of fun little rules in there that they people don't necessarily point them out every time, but they add up to just creating this beautiful game that is fast paced. It's exciting, and of course, high scoring. And again, we all love defensive battles. You and I, we're big football fans. We will sit there for a defensive battle, but points are exciting. Points are very exciting.
Points are what actually bring people in the seats, I think, a lot of times. So that's
Yes.
why you got to have that as well. But yeah, I mean, again, all those finer points, they were worked out, hashed out, and played through several seasons of it, successful seasons. I mean, obviously, when you got guys like John Bon Jovi buying into teams, and when you got John Elway buying into a Colorado team in the heyday of the Arena Football League, obviously this had legs, right? And so it
Yeah.
became popular, and popular things continue to grow popular until they can't anymore, and that's what happened in 2019 when they had to fold. I mean, that last season, as fun as it was to watch, it was difficult because there was only 4 teams, and
Yeah.
really it was just a hard season to play out.
Yeah, and if anybody's listening, don't get confused. I know we keep saying AFL, and this is the AF1, but the AF1 is actually the teams. The AFL relaunched, and the teams that survived from that, they started the AF1 under the tutelage of Jeff Fisher, who's he's done a great job with it, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's exactly what happened. So in 2018, it all folded, and then, or 2019 rather, it all folded, the Arena Football League, and then a few years later, right? What was this, 3 years now, 4 years? Trying
2023 to 24, somewhere around there.
Yeah, yeah. I get my days mixed up, let alone my years. But yeah, no. So again, a few years later, they there was a push to bring arena football back, and arena football
Mhm.
league in specific. So, there was a team that was led. Not going to get into the whole. Listen, this is all. If you want the sorted past, there are plenty of videos that can go back, and I may put a few in the show notes for you to go back and watch through the sordid past of what happened. But Arena Football League did try to come back, right? There was 8 teams that tried to suit up and be the Arena Football League that season. Miraculously, they made it through the season. I don't know if I can say the same about myself, but they made it through the season. They finished the season out, and like Justin said, there were a lot of folks that were not thrilled with the way that season went, and fans alike. Nobody liked what happened, right?
Yeah.
Bad leadership at the top, a lot of just trying to hope and a wish and a prayer to get it through, and not a lot of solid planning throughout it. I'm trying to be gentle here, but you can tell that I'm struggling to tap dance around this. But needless to say, they made it through the season, right? With the help of Jeff Fisher, just like Justin said, who, yes, that is the same Jeff Fisher, the one that coached the Rams, the one that coached the Titans, the one that knows more about football, probably forgotten more about football than you and I have ever known in our life, Justin. But
Yeah.
yeah, came in, swooped in, saved the day, finished the season, and then the very next year, they decided a rebranding was in line because Arena Football League left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So in comes Arena Football One, new life, new characters, new teams, and Justin, I got to say, like you said, this year seems like it's gotten off to a way better start than the last couple of seasons have.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's still, Without being too negative, there's still some individual teams that have had some struggles. I think that's going to happen. That we're not dumb to the fact that the world is driven by money, and that includes football teams. So if they're not making enough money, then things don't work out the best. But they're the core and the just the way the league is going and the things they have done has all been very positive, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then like we said, leadership is just they've been on it, right? They've been
Hmm.
trying to make sure that teams are able to meet their obligations, that teams are just doing things the right way. Because again, a couple of years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case. That wasn't something you could say, and there was a lot of teams that weren't getting paid. Bad social media posts about players that weren't getting their hotels paid for, and just again, it was not fun to be a part of, let alone try to root for this league up until about halfway through the season when things kind of flipped around and teams were trying to figure it out. But I've talked about it a little bit before in my couple of podcasts. I was a part of that relaunch process, and I was hosting a show, and I got to tell you, I never felt more hung out to dry in a few spots than trying to convey to fans, angry fans no less, what was going on when it wasn't necessarily me doing it. Right, I was just the mouthpiece for it, and I was catching all the flack. But um,
I mean, I did see some comments that made it seem like you were paying the bills there. I don't know where people got that idea, but
I wish I was paying the bills because then at least the league would get going, right? Like,
right.
please let me pay something if I can. I want to keep this league going. I didn't want to see it go really just south the way it did. But again, we're a couple of years into this experiment that is the AF1. We've got champions, we've got dynasties, we've got all kinds of stuff going on, and the kind of stuff you want to have if you are trying to promote a successful football league. And again, we have a lot of that going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So modern AF1, Justin, we'll move on. The Rocky Past. I'm sure there's plenty of time to keep going down the Rocky Road, but I don't want to do that. If you want, again, all it takes for you to do is just type in Arena Football League, and then you'll find the videos. But we move on to the future and the now of it. And there's some good solid teams, right? We talked a lot about who stuck around. Well, the biggest team that stuck around was the Albany Firebirds, the team that won the initial championship that first year of the Arena Football League. Went on to do it again, but did not get it done against the Bandits, which I'm kind of responsible for, I guess, right? That was my doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everything was your doing.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I was so the team and I'm blanking right now. So help me, Justin. Who was it that won that beat the Firebirds a couple seasons ago? Outlaws. The
Billings.
Outlaws. Billings
Yep.
Outlaws. The
Yep.
Bandits. Uh this is where my head's at. Yeah, the Billings Outlaws ended up winning a championship a couple of years ago. I again, because I'm the one with the microphone, sat there and rated the team in what was it, I think it was a D tier.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, we were ranking the teams before in the preseason, right? And so I was like, well, okay, the Outlaws, we don't know much about them. Billings, okay, so we'll put them here in the D tier. Well, they won the championship, and in their championship ring says not bad for a tier 3 team. I was like, hey, if that was what they needed to get through, I'm glad to have supplied it for them.
Yeah, you were the motivator, right? I mean, that says something.
It does say something. You tell me what it says. I'm not really sure, but all right. But yeah, so again, there's the Albany Firebirds who Justin, we saw them win game after game after game. Finally got their unbeaten streak taken care of. But yeah, they were winning a lot of games.
Yeah, undefeated last year, won it all the way through the championship, and that was the AF1, the official AF1's inaugural season. And that's the team I covered. Coach Damon Ware, he's been doing arena ball for a long time. He's been coaching it for a long time, and Albany has been in different leagues and been successful. He brought back Sam Castronova last year, which was his championship quarterback from several years past. So everything was clicking for them, and there's been some changes this year, and there's finally some teams have been able to kind of, I don't know if they're figuring them out or if they're just throwing new stuff at the Albany Firebirds. But yeah, like you said, they finally got beat. I think that first loss was to the Nashville Cats, and then it seemed like some of the other teams were like, "Hey, I think we've figured this out. Let's watch what Nashville did and do that." And so now they're not looking as untouchable, but don't get me wrong, still a good team, still a very solid program there.
Oh yeah, and there one that isn't new to the arena field at all. They've played in various arena leagues leading up to this too. So when they came to AF1 or the AFL, I suppose when they came to the AFL, they brought with them that fan base that was already a part of the Firebirds. So this was already a team that had been playing already that came
Yeah.
into the Arena Football League, much like a couple of the other teams that were coming in, a la the Southwest Kansas Storm and a lot of these other guys. Billings actually was another team that had come in that was already a team that was playing. So a lot of these initial teams were already teams, but they just brought themselves into the Arena Football League. Now we've got some new teams that are new teams in the Arena Football League, but yeah, but it was fun to watch that. One of the new teams that came in that built themselves up was the Washington Wolfpack, which, by the way, Justin, I see that you are wearing your Washington Wolfpack shirt. So I know you have ties to that team as you cover them in the Arena Football One world, but they were one that was brand new to the Arena Football League, and they've lasted through. And a lot of good players, a lot of good staff on that team, and I'm glad that they stuck it through the last couple of years.
Yeah, and shout out, I mean, this just goes to show that your team, it doesn't have to be the best to last because Washington, I think the last 2 years combined, they won 3 games. Last year, Coach Wells, he went through, I think, 9 different quarterbacks because guys kept getting injured or they would move on and this and that. We all know football's hard to do without consistency. So without a consistent quarterback, but yeah, Washington has done a great job this year, and their fans have done a great job. They continue to show up, and I think that's important in arena ball, no matter what the team is. Washington, Stockton, Nashville, Albany, the fans showing up, just that's what it's all about. So yeah, I think they've done a good job this year. Fingers crossed that they make the playoffs. It all comes down to this Saturday between Minnesota and Beaumont, which I'm sure we'll talk about those teams in a minute here. But yeah, it's been nice to see them jump from where they were to this year.
Yeah, and again, that's the other thing too. The AF1 season's still going on as we talk through this. So I started the show before the AF1 season even finished. So if you're trying to get into this as well too, right? If you want to see what you're up now, you got perfect time because now
Yeah.
it's playoffs, right? Now we're talking postseason. Now we're talking the arena championship. So yeah, this is a good time to start checking out who we're going to be playing against next season. So yeah, Washington Wolfpack was one of the ones that stuck around. The Nashville Cats, you remember the name from the 90s? They came back. They brought themselves back. Still, same branding, same everything for the most part. And Nashville was hungry for that team. They did such a good job. And now they're playing in a city that's close and near dear to my heart in Clarksville, Tennessee. They're playing a lot of their games there in Clarksville, Tennessee. And, again, that's I love that area. I loved when the Cats were sort of there because you could still have remnants of the Cats when I was in Kentucky and Tennessee. But this is one, yeah, this is one where Jeff Fisher pretty much got his start with the Cats as a consultant. And then everybody was like, please, Jeff, help us, help the whole league. And he did.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are a old school WCW or WWE fan, partial owner of the Nashville Cats is Jeff Jarrett. Still goes to some of the games. You see him there. The owner of Washington, or one of the co-owners, Miguel, who he's a wrestler at not the WWE level, but he is a wrestler. He actually brought Jeff Jarrett a custom guitar when they went on the road to face off against Nashville. So it's cool to see the owners getting along and doing stuff like that, the camaraderie, because they all want this to succeed. But yeah, Nashville has done very good this year. I do believe they've locked the number 1 seed in the playoffs. And to your point, yeah, if you've not watched arena ball and you want to check this out before Stockton's on the turf there, check it out. I mean, everything's accessible. It's either going to be on YouTube or it's going to be on Vice TV or the Home Team Network. So you can watch all of these games.
Yeah, and that's the important part. Really, again, a lot of the indoor leagues, sometimes you have to scrape and scratch to find where to watch them, and sometimes they're behind a paywall. But this is
Yeah.
not. This is accessible. You get to watch every game that you want to and access it. So I do love that aspect of it as well. All right, Beaumont Renegades is one of the new teams this season into the Arena Football One. Yeah, these guys, it's crazy to me because all these new teams, Beaumont, Kentucky, Michigan, Oceanside, it's crazy because these guys came on and really have made a difference in the league already.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Beaumont is the team that they play the Minnesota Monsters this weekend, and if they win, they're in the playoffs. So, I mean, that's really impressive for a team that's just getting its start. Been an up and down season for them, but they've really pulled it together towards the end of the season here. So, obviously, I'm not saying I don't want those guys to get in, but I don't want them to win for the Wolfpack. I am biased. I will say that up front. But yeah, they've done really well. It's been impressive.
Indeed, impressive for the Minnesota Monsters as well as they're sitting 7-4 in the standings, and again, for a brand new team to be able to jockey for the top spots in the league, that says a lot about coaching and players and everybody that's running that squad.
Yeah, and if you ever get a chance to go to a Minnesota Monsters game, it's in Duluth, Minnesota. The arena is literally right on Lake Superior. It is a beautiful setup. So I highly recommend that. That's where I was just this weekend. And they used to be the Duluth Harbor Monsters, which were two-time TAL champions, another league. So now they're part of the AF1 and they're making noise. I think they have the number 3 seed locked.
Yeah, right now they are sitting 3 seed, and right behind them, the Kentucky Barrels, another one of the new teams to this one. They got announced. I remember when they got announced, and it was a lot of excitement about that because they were talking about the Ohio region, the Kentucky region. This team has a footprint through multiple states and in a lot of different places.
Yeah, very close to the border there of Kentucky and Ohio. As a guy, you mentioned that I do old fashioned football podcast where we talk whiskey. So seeing that Kentucky whiskey barrel as their logo, it was hard not to get excited about this team.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then, of course, the Michigan Arsenal, another one of the newer teams to the AF1 this season. Not bad themselves, right? They're sitting in fifth place, 5-6 on the year right now. So another good addition. And I know that there's a lot of people that were saying that the Michigan Arsenal logo looks a lot like what we're looking like. So I don't know about that one.
Yeah, maybe that'll lead to a great rivalry, though there are a lot of coastal teams here with Washington, with Stockton, with Oceanside. That I think that's great that they kind of have the regional rivalry too. But you guys might need to have a little logo rivalry. That'd be fun.
I think that would be fun, right? So maybe ours is best. Let's say
There you
that
go.
because we had ours first. To be perfectly honest with you, a couple of
That
years
is
ago,
true.
we had
Yeah,
ours first. So I'm going to stand on that ground. Damn it, that's
there you
ours.
go.
And then of course the Oceanside Stealth, right, which were just recently rebranded from the Oceanside Bombers. So I don't know that I've seen too many teams get rebranded mid-season, Justin. I don't know about you, but that's kind of a crazy coincidence.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process behind it was, but more power to them. Maybe they just didn't want to be called the Bombers anymore. I don't know. But out of Oceanside, California, and that San Diego area, I believe you know that better than me because you're a California guy. But um, they've had a rough year, right? But it's all about the fans still coming out and supporting them. So if you happen to be around Oceanside, go support them.
Yeah, no, not us. That's our instant
Not
rival. So I'm gonna
that's
say right
true.
now, because they are our in-state rivals. So they're
Yeah.
immediately our rival, right? So they changed their name to the Stealth because they're 1-9, and they just wanted to not have anybody notice them. That's what it
There you
is, right?
go. There you go.
One win doesn't get you very well noticed. So they're like, well, we're stealthy. We play football and we're stealthy. Sorry, no, I love you guys. If you know anything about me, I don't play heavily into that kind of stuff, but I just have to good natured ribbing for the
Yeah, you
in-state rival.
gotta have fun with it, right?
You do have to have fun with it. So, yeah. So those are the teams. Those are the teams that make up the Arena Football One. Obviously, the season runs through what is it now? Because I know they're. I don't know if they're going to switch it up because of the other teams, but um, yeah, the season runs through what is it? July, right?
Yeah,
So
end of July here.
end of July. But yeah, so we'll get a chance to start watching these guys and start watching the roster field here pretty soon before they hit the field in April, right? I think it is April that they hit
Yeah.
the field. So
Yep, absolutely. And again, do some if you're bored one night and you start seeing that Stockton signed this guy or that guy, look at where he played, where he's come from, because some of these guys, they did play at big schools. Some played at little schools. It's a great mixture. You hear a ton of stories about this guy had a NFL tryout, but he got injured during that tryout. And then it's a political thing. You know, the NFL is like that. They're done with you quickly. So the fact that they're getting another shot to live out their dream to play professional football, this is important to these guys. So I always feel like being able to support them and just getting to know them better, that's important. I mean, it really means something in my opinion.
Well, and if you've listened to any of my spring football podcasts, whether it's the XFL, whether it's the AAF, whether it's whatever it's been, you know that I've continued to say that the funnel to get to the NFL is so small, right? There are only
Yeah.
so many jobs at the top level of this profession, and if you're not part of that, it doesn't always mean you're not talented. It just means that there's just not enough jobs for you to
Right.
fill that role, right? And there's so many talented football players that just get left sort of wondering what they're going to do. And then, some of them, like you said, make it to the CFL. Some of them go to the UFL. Some of them play overseas in Germany or Japan or wherever they can get a chance to play. Right. But
Hmm.
these arena leagues give them an opportunity to play at a high level in a different discipline, right? Because this
Yeah.
arena football league or the arena football one is a different discipline of football. And these guys, yeah, a lot of them do want to get noticed. A lot of them do want to continue to make it back up and try to get through the funnel again. But for a lot of these guys, this is it. They're playing professional football and they're getting paid for it. And this is as far as they'll probably end up making it. So what I love about it is the passion behind a lot of these guys and just being able to go out there and watch professional football from guys that have played, because you'll see them swapping up and down all over the place, and you get to learn their journeys like you said. But to me it's more about just watching professional football in a different discipline that you're used to at a high level, and that's what we've been provided for the last couple of seasons, and it's just getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. One story that sticks out, I won't talk about Wolfpack players too much, but one story that sticks out to me, Danye Dixon, he's a defender for the Wolfpack. Kind of to your point, we're saying like this is their shot, right? This is the shot because things haven't gone how they had hoped. He told me like his biggest fear, and I feel like a lot of the guys in this league feel this way, is that going home with nothing to show. He said that's my biggest fear, and then I got to figure out what am I going to do with my life because football has been my life. And that's one of the reasons I think you're the same as me, that we love these little or these smaller leagues and the little guys stories, right? Because we want to see people succeed. That's a great feeling. And so you're going to get a lot of that in arena ball. A lot of guys that this is their last shot and they don't want to go home, and that's why they play at such a high level.
Yeah, and really that kind of leads into what I want to end with talking about it, is just the experiences that we've had in arena football in general, arena football one in specific, because you and we've had the privilege and the honor of talking to a lot of these players, to talking to a lot of these coaches, to getting to know the officials in this league, the executives in this league, right? I mean, you and I have both
Mhm.
had conversations with high level arena football one executives, and you come away feeling very energetic. You come away feeling very hopeful that this has got some legs and that it'll stick around a while, because everybody that I have had, well, okay, I won't say everybody, but ever since this arena football world has shifted to where it is now, right? The folks that I've talked to since we've turned the page on all of the bad stuff have all said really basically the same thing, in that, look, we just love football. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we're beating that to beating the horse here, but we just love football, and we want to see football succeed. We want to see this league succeed. We want to see people succeed, and so there's so much positivity that's coming from everybody involved in the Arena Football One organization as a whole, and the teams in general, that you can't help but not feel encouraged as you start to pay more attention to this league, and hopefully for fans of Stockton that are getting to know this league, we'll pick up on as well, because there's just a lot of positivity going around.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see it with the coaches talking with each other and helping each other out. You see it with players after the games. I mean, these guys are all lifting each other up, and it's a great experience. I know it was only my first first time going to a game this weekend. It was in enemy territory, right? I think me, my wife, the niece and nephew, the only Washington Wolfpack shirts in the stadium there or in the arena, but it was just a great time. It's just a fun time. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That this just it feels different this time around. It feels different, and everybody is working towards one common goal. So I think it's great. Stockton, hopefully you're excited because it's going to be great. You're going to have a great time going to games. That can be just a weekly tradition you could make. Like, what are we doing Saturday night? Let's go to the game, and you're going to love it every time.
No, 100%. And the arena obviously offers some unique views because it's not huge. It's definitely
Yeah.
big enough to host the game and big enough for you to still feel intimate no matter where you're sitting. I've always said, I've worked at the arena for years in various capacities, whether it was the fun guy on the ice for the Thunder or the fun guy for the Heat. Like I've walked up and down every single aisle of that place. I've been pretty much backstage and around everywhere in that arena. That arena has been my playground for a while. There's just not a bad seat in the house. Like there's literally nothing that makes me say, "Oh man, this is horrible. I don't want to watch a game from here." I will watch a game from anywhere, whether it's the luxury suites way up there, whether it's on ice level or field level or whatever. Like I love that arena, and we are very lucky to have them as backing us as the Crusaders take the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is probably an unpopular opinion, but these are just as fun as going to like an NFL game, and you don't have to pay the price of going to an NFL game. It's just as fun. You're gonna have just as much fun, maybe even more fun, because you're not in nosebleeds. You can see everything that's going on. You're close to the game, the intimate setting, like you said. So, yeah, if you're on the fence about checking it out, I say I highly recommend it. You're gonna love it.
100%. And so then as we wrap things up, just so everybody knows, so you started covering the Arena Football League right at the very beginning with me. You and I both jumped in, both feet gunning. So you've been at this for a long time as well. And what we were both just correspondents, right? I think that's
Yeah.
what we ended up being.
Yep, absolutely. Correspondence, and that's kind of what it's continued to be. Last year I was solely the Albany Firebirds. This year it's just the Washington Wolfpack. So, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yep. And indeed, like I said, so for me, I did start out as a correspondent. I did host the podcast for a little while
Yeah.
until I had to back away for fear that I might not survive the social media storm that was. But I'm glad that we were able to come back and I did cover a few more. Produced a few episodes with Sophia when she jumped on a couple seasons ago for it. So yeah, just happy to be back in the mix. Happy to have Arena Football One back in Stockton. Happy to have a team to cheer for. Happy to have a team to talk about. And Justin, I'll tell you right now, you and I will talk several times over on this show because I will have to have you back when the Washington Wolfpack visit the Stockton Crusaders because yeah, there's going to be a lot to break down that game day.
Yeah, I mean the listeners are gonna be like, not this guy. This guy's just gonna come on and howl about the wolf pack. But no, and everybody listening, if whether this is your first show tuning in, or I know that the show is young, right? But or whether you've been with it since Rod launched it here, you guys are in great hands with Rod. I know I'm biased, and he did send that Venmo. No, I'm just kidding. But you guys are in great hands here.
I was gonna say, I listen. I don't want to hit the send button again because I can't. There's only
Yeah.
so much I can do for you. No, yeah, I appreciate that for sure. Yeah, again, we're just gonna have some fun. This show is gonna be about having fun. This show is gonna be about talking Stockton Crusaders. It's gonna be about talking Arena Football One. You'll hear from players. You'll hear from coaches. I'll try to get Jeff Fisher on the show once or twice to talk through to everybody out there about Arena Football and to get excited about it before the season begins. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna be here. We're going to have some fun. Justin, I appreciate you coming on to have fun with me again. I know when I knock on your door, you're like, ah, this guy again. But
Never,
thanks for answering the call.
never. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So as we wrap things up, let everybody know where they can find you out there in the world. Again, your wonderful show with your beautiful wife.
Well, thank you. She is the better looking half, that's for sure. Yeah, you can follow me on the X. I still have trouble saying that, Twitter. At JMark Football, you're going to find all my content there. And then the podcast is Old Fashioned Football. That's at Old Fashioned FB on Twitter. We're live about every week. kind of bickering and talking fantasy football, like you said, NFL, bets, whiskey, everything like that. Just did that fun segment where I gave my bets and she said whether she approved of them or not. Plot twist, or I guess side note, I had already bet them and she did not approve of them all. But I think everybody that's a bettor can relate to that, right? We don't want our significant others to know all the bets. That's okay. But yeah, just give me a follow on one of those to see the content. And I'm only probably going to say this once, but let's go Crusaders.
Ooh, I'm going to clip that out. We're going to play that to all of your Washington Wolfpack fans.
Yeah, probably.
Love it. All right, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. You can find everything that I'm up to there, up to and including hosting the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with my good bud Cody Zeeb. And of course, every time I pop onto the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, which might be soon, right?
Yes.
We maybe getting me on for the San Francisco 49ers NFC West preview.
Absolutely.
That'll be a great time. So, all right, we'll see you guys next time. And until then, everyone, let's go Crusaders.